I'll say it again. Say your name and outlet once you get the mic. But right now, I'll hand it over to Coach for an opening statement.
Yeah, thank you very much. Fourth media day, and it gets better and better. So thank you to the Big Ten. Shout out to Grace, CJ, and Ashley, who run this event. Obviously, the network that hosts us and puts it on in an incredible venue. Just really excited for the season. Excited for these two to be back and take care of our first two contacts. But really excited for 2025 and Team 56.
Questions for the Buckeyes? I'll start with you, Coach, especially the end of last season, how you guys really kind of started to gain steam at that point. What are some things you want to carry over into this season that you want to see from the get-go and have a stronger start?
Yeah, I think the work ethic that we had all last fall showed at the very end. And I think this team, those that are returning were hungry for more. And the work they put in the spring and what we saw in the camp demos in the summer, it's exciting for what this team could be. We've added some new faces and really excited for the work they're putting in and the drive that we have right now in Buckeye volleyball.
Jen, some of those new faces came by the transfer portal too.
Yep.
You lost a few faces from the transfer portal.
Yep.
What have you learned about the transfer portal over the last few years?
It's not going anywhere. It's here to stay. Whether you hate it or you love it, I think it's a necessary evil. But it's part of the world we're in. And we lost production, whether it's graduation or transfers. That's no secret. But I'm excited for the pieces that we've added. Like we have a transfer from Memphis and Hannah Jones, who had a breakout spring. We've added some really experienced and mature players and fifth-year seniors. So, it's not something you want to rely on. I think some programs do. I still really, truly believe in the development of athletes, especially high school athletes coming through our program. We're excited about the loyal players that are here, with me and excited to be Buckeyes. And it's just something you have to figure out as you move forward. And we figured it out, and I'm excited for what this means for this team.
Mia, Coach was just naming off a couple of new players and new arms. Obviously, Riley Rader and Emily Londot, you set to many, many times. What has it been like the last couple of weeks in the summer and spring to build those new connections and trying to develop and feel confidence in those arms?
Yeah, I think it's just been a really cool opportunity because, as you said, you rely a lot on those big hitters, but we have so many great hitters, and now they really get a chance to step up, and they all have. So I have a ton of options like I have before, but once again, and I'm very excited to just keep exploring those connections and make them even stronger.
Olivia, I've seen Coach talk about, maybe the phrase I see the most is just energy. Describe for us just your game, what you try to bring to the court every single time at your position that you feel like, I have to be this person each time I go out. This is what defines me.
I think they talk to me a lot about just controlling what I can control and then being there for my teammates. And I think for my energy, I just try to be there and celebrate my teammates as much as I can. Celebrate the little things, celebrate the things that make the game go around. So I think that, and just not thinking too much, just playing. I've always had fire in my play, so I think just being me, who I am, and not trying to change just because I'm at a different place, at a different level.
Coach, talking about Mia, someone who is entering another year of being a starter, where are those jumps or the difference when you kind of take the reins from an early time in your college career and that growth and what it's been like for her and that trajectory and looking at her 2025?
Yeah, I think Mia's work ethic stands out first and foremost, but a maturity that she's gaining each year, the experience, the poise, her competitive fire, like all those things just continue to grow, and I'm excited that she's a leader for this program. They both are, and excited that her junior year is going to be her best year.
Yeah, Mia, what is that kind of journey like when you, again, take the reins very early on and now, I don't know, maybe it's just having that footing underneath you, but how do you approach 2025?
Yeah, I think it's been really cool to just learn every single year and continue to do that. And I'm really lucky to be at a program where I could have had the opportunity to be a leader the moment I got here, and they gave me a lot of room to do that and give my voice. So I just hope that I can continue to be a great teammate and be a great leader to the new people that we have on our team. But yeah, I'm just excited. I'm excited to keep learning and to just keep growing.
Jen, one of the other big surprises of the offseason was Kirsten Berthel Booth stepped down, kind of affected you because it elevated you to the role of president of ABC.
Yeah.
How surprised were you with that news, and how did that kind of change your life?
Yeah, I was really surprised by the news. I think most people, I obviously reached out to her, and the second thought was like, oh no, it's starting early. So it just sped up the presidency by 6 months, and I went to my first board meeting in May, and I was really energized by the people in the room, and she was there as well. And so she's going to be a resource, somebody I'll reach out to, and vice versa. She's become a good friend. But I think, what does that mean? It means I got to figure out what this job means a little bit quicker. But I think being in that role in the current landscape is a really important one, to have the right voice and continue to do things the right way and advocate for our sport in all levels. And so, yeah, I wouldn't say it's daunting. It's just a little bit unknown, and we're figuring it out. But having the support of Jamie and his staff as I learn into this job, I wouldn't even say lean into, but I would learn into it. But I'm excited to serve in that capacity.
You mentioned Jamie. He coached Sydney Wyman before in her first part of her career. Did you learn anything about her from him?
I did not.
Okay.
Yeah, kept it between Sydney and I. Yeah.
Did you coach Mia or target her at all when she was a little kid at Pitt Elite? I mean, you guys
A target. Yeah.
Well, you probably said she was a prospect, right, or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. I've known Mia since she was 10. So being the club director of Pittsburgh Elite and seeing her growth and her trajectory and her path, I felt a little bit bad leaving her club team when I was the head coach and got the job at Ohio State. But, I think her leadership and obviously her talent and where I thought she could go would do well, serve us well. And so it was just trying to make sure she wasn't wearing the wrong colors and getting her in the scarlet and the gray. So that was a tough task at first, but I think we were destined to be together. So I'm excited that she's here.
You have anything on that?
I mean, she nailed it. Yeah, I mean, she definitely knew me well, knew how to recruit me, had all the tricks that would lure me, but it was very easy, honestly, when I got on campus and was around the team and around the coaches. It's a very easy decision from there. I mean, not at first because of my family, but when I really realized it was easy.
Both me and Olivia, you had match point against Penn State, didn't win it, but you saw what they did later on that season. What do you take from that match and kind of carry into the possibilities for this year?
Yeah, I think it just reinforced the idea that we can compete with anybody, and we just have a lot of fight left in us, and it just makes us really hungry for this year. And I think we have a lot to show, but it's really just for ourselves, and we want to display all that we have, and I'm just excited for another opportunity to do that this year.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Like, we're so close, and this year's going to be the year that we're not close, we do it.
This is for Mia Tuman with the Volleyball Project. Talk about setting. Like, you guys are the quarterback of the team. You have to make split decisions in milliseconds. Like, how do you process that, and how you know where you're going with the ball?
Yeah, I think it's just something that comes with time. I'm obviously still learning, and I wouldn't say I'm even close to where I would like to be there, but I think it's just helpful when you have so many great options and you've got someone giving you easy balls, putting them right on the money for you, and I think just kind of just becomes a habit after a while, and coaches do a great job of training us to read the block on the other side and just kind of get a sense of what the right thing to do would be. But it can be a little stressful, but I think just trusting in my hitters gives me all the confidence.
Lincoln, you're coming after us here.
New additions now. Assistant coaches, too, added Fiona Nepo, Keone?
Benoti.
Benoti, there you go.
Yeah.
And then also a former head coach, now an assistant, too. What do those two bring to the program, and why did you put them on your staff?
First and foremost, they're great humans. I think that's every day you're spending time with them, and so making sure they fit the culture and what you're about and who you're about. That was the number one goal. And then it's experience and knowledge. And what I didn't know, I had an idea, is how much joy they bring to the job. And they understand the workload, they understand the responsibilities, and they love it. And showing up every day with them has just been incredible. So I would say the vibe in the gym this year, this spring, has been one of the best. And off season's a little bit easier, and we'll see what happens in the fall. But I don't see it changing. Like, they're just incredible humans that love the job, love the sport, and love giving back. And so they were a great fit.
How do you two think the vibe changed for yourselves?
Yeah, I agree. I think it was something that we honestly at first were a little nervous with all the change, but they stepped right in and there was no delay, and they just picked up right where we needed them to and had no hesitation with putting us in line and getting on us, which is what we wanted and what we needed. And actually, before they came, we were able to kind of talk with Skylar a little bit and just say, this is what we need. And he's like, that's what I'm going to bring. And it's been amazing. He's followed through on everything. Both of them have, so.
I agree. I think they're both like full of so much fire and laughter and fun. And I think even through the hard stuff, because they push us and they know the grind, but I think they are always finding ways to make everything fun and enjoyable and find that joy within the games that we want to continue to show up for one another. I love both the new coaches. I think they have helped me grow exponentially as a player and as a person. I think they're the perfect fit for us.
But you do have a sarcasm gap with Fawcett leaving.
A little bit.
Of your 3 incoming freshmen, any of them starters, impact, any of the above?
Yeah, I think that Nev had a great spring. She graduated early and was with us training in the spring. In terms of production, I see her being on the court at some point. She can play both right and left, primarily on the left. She's a good ball handler, so she can have an impact. Mina, who joined us in June, just hoping she got on that flight coming over from Turkey. It's hard being away from home. Regardless, I was 3 hours from home. 3 hours.
6 hours.
6 hours. Homesick, and you have a player come from Turkey, and it's our first international player that I've recruited. So, I think her journey over the summer has its ups and downs, but man, can she play volleyball? And so I think as a lefty opposite, that's a potential. But we won't know until we're in the gym together and see how it all clicks. They'd give you some inside information, but they're told not to. So, yeah, I'm just kidding. But I'm excited to see what those 3 bring. I think Mia Stoller pushes our defense quite a bit, so she could see some time. It's a little bit wide open right now, and that's not a bad thing because we have a lot of talent in our gym.
To follow up on what you were just saying, you said first international player you've recruited. What was that process like, and the connection there that led to her coming to Ohio State?
I would like to say it's so complicated, and we're in the weeds, but it was not that complicated because Michelle Barch played with Mina's sister, Zara. And so that connection was very deep and very strong, and it was about trust. And so that family trusted Michelle. Obviously, Michelle trusts me. It was just, it was kind of meant to be. And so we're excited to have Mina in our program and have that trust from her and her family.
Coach, looking also at the Big Ten at a micro level too, where I think about it with Riley and Emily. There's a lot of seniors and fifth years that are big names, no longer in the conference this year. How do you look overall? Of course, incredibly robust, but a lot of maybe unfamiliarity. There's new coaches and different kind of people in different places.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of new, and I think when they're dressed up last night, and I'm like, man, I wouldn't recognize some of these. I have to go back and look at the rosters and figure out who's here. But that's part of this, right? Like that's what it's supposed to be, the turnover and the new and the development. And so I think this is going to be an exciting year. You have the top dogs that everybody's going after, but I think there's going to be a lot of teams that surprise people with the new. And so we're going to be one of them.
Maybe a question back for Olivia. We'll start with Mia. There's now a Mia, and Mina in your core. How do you handle that?
That's a great question.
Great question. What? We are working on that right now, and just trying to come up with some nicknames, but that might take some time. So a little bit of confusion in the gym when we're yelling at Mia, Mina, whatever. But yeah, it's been funny.
Olivia, do you got nicknames for Mia? Do you have ideas?
I say Mina. I call Mina Mia all the time because we'll be in service even. It'll be Mia on this side, Mina right here in the Mia setting. So that gets really confusing sometimes, but it's just, I gotta find some nicknames.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
I think Fiona's going to come up with it.
Yeah, she
Probably
probably will.
Yeah.
And Jen, with the half settlement finally being finalized, how has that changed? I know there's a lot of mouths to feed at Ohio State. how do you make the case administration for volleyball to be included in that revenue sharing?
I think he made the case. You know, he was one of the first or only ADs that made it public that that volleyball will be a revenue share sport at Ohio State. We're one of 4 out of 36 sports, and I think that says a lot for the support of our administration to give it to us to compete, obviously in the Big Ten, but also nationally. So we're very fortunate and grateful, and you know, we're going to be able to use it.
Is there pressure being one of 4 then? That maybe, I don't know if you guys produce that would be you're one of the 4 choices, or is that no pressure at all? No pressure because of that?
There's always pressure. If you don't have money, there's pressure. If there's money, there's pressure. But that's part of being at Ohio State. You know, like all of our programs are elite, and we continue to strive to be. And yeah, maybe there's some pressure, but I don't want to look at it that way. I think there's opportunity.
Time for a couple more questions for the Buckeyes.
We're the little kids. He was ready. That
I
was,
know,
like
no,
really
they just
prepped
went in
for
and
that
out.
one. Yeah. Okay.
I'm sorry they missed you guys.
Yeah, I was a little worried. He was heavy hitters.
All right, I think we can let you go a little bit early. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you very much. Thanks for being here.
Can we take